Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the absolutely wild evolution of generative AI by looking at 3 huge leaps from a single team at ByteDance. We're going to see how they started by building a super fast and flexible engine, then taught it to be a culturally smart artist, and finally turned it into a full-blown filmmaker that creates sight and sound together.
In this race for AI supremacy, the goalposts are just constantly moving. Some teams aren't just tweaking the tools we already have, they're inventing completely new types of digital artists. And everything you're looking at right now, the photos, the art, even that perfectly clean text, it was all made by the exact models we're about to dive into. So let's start at the beginning.
All right, so the first big hurdle in making video with AI has always been this tricky balancing act. How do you get speed, quality, and versatility all at the same time? Cracking that code was the whole point behind the first model in our story, Seedance 1.0. To really appreciate this breakthrough, you gotta remember how things used to be. For a long time, AI video models were specialists. You'd have one that was amazing at turning text into video, but it would totally bomb if you gave it an image to animate, or the other way around. And to top it all off, most of them were just painfully slow, Not really practical for real creative work. Okay, so these leaderboards might look a little intense, but the story they tell is actually super simple. Seedance 1.0 was the very first model, a single unified model, to snag the #1 spot for both text-to-video and image-to-video generation at the same time. It wasn't a specialist anymore, it was a master of both trades, which was a massive leap forward. And here's the real kicker. It got to the top of those charts not by using more brute force power, but by being incredibly efficient. The model pulled off a 10 times speed up in its processing time. For anyone who actually makes stuff, that is a total game changer. It takes what was a slow, kind of frustrating process and turns it into a fun, interactive flow where you can actually experiment in almost real time.
So, what was the secret sauce here? Well, it was a really clever architecture called the Diffusion Transformer, or DIT for short. The easiest way to think about it is like this. It figured out how to separate the job of understanding space, like what's in the picture, from the job of understanding time, so how things move. By splitting those two tasks, the model could get amazing at both, all inside one neat system.
But look, speed is great, but it isn't everything. For the next big leap, the goal wasn't just to be fast, it was to be smart. It was about teaching the AI nuance, intelligence, and a real understanding of human culture. And that brings us to our second model, an image generator called Seedream 2.0.
The really big idea here was to build a custom, bilingual language model and bake it right into the image generator itself. This gave Seedream 2.0 a native-level understanding of both English and Chinese. And you can see it in these charts. It's not just translating words. It's actually getting the deep cultural context that other models totally miss, which is why it crushes it in both languages.
It also went after a huge, nagging problem that drove pretty much every AI artist crazy: getting text right. For years, you'd ask an AI to put words on an image, and you'd just get this jumbled, nonsensical mess. As this quote points out, it was a major roadblock holding the whole technology back.
So Seedream 2.0 solved this with a special tool. It's called a glyph-aligned ByteDance, which pretty much teaches the AI how letters and characters are actually supposed to look. This is what lets it generate super crisp, accurate text in different languages, even with really complex Chinese characters. It can weave words into an image just like a real graphic designer would. It's a huge deal for things like posters, memes, you name it.
Okay, so we've gone from a fast engine to a smart artist. The final leap? Becoming a complete filmmaker. This meant fusing sight and sound into one single, powerful experience with a model called Seedance 1.5 Pro.
And the goal here was seriously ambitious. We're not talking about making a silent video and then just adding a soundtrack later. No way. The mission was to build a model that generates the video and the audio at the same time from one prompt, creating this totally unified experience right from the start.
This chart just shows the jump perfectly. That light blue shape, that was the performance of the first version. And that much bigger teal shape, that's the new 1.5 Pro. You can literally see a massive expansion in every direction. The aesthetics, the quality of the motion, how well it follows your prompt. The model didn't just get a little better, it basically got a whole new creative playbook.
And that new playbook comes with a whole toolkit for filmmakers. I'm talking about generating realistic dialogue where the lip sync is perfect. It can pull off fancy camera moves, like that famous dizzying Hitchcock zoom. And maybe most important, it can keep a story straight across multiple shots, with characters looking consistent. It's like having a director, a cameraman, and a sound designer all in one.
So when you put this whole journey together, from a fast tool to a smart artist to this immersive filmmaker, what does it all really mean for how we create things?
When you step back and look at it, we've basically watched an AI get created in stages. First, it learned to be a really good, really efficient camera operator. Then, it's like it went to art school and became a world-class designer who gets culture. And finally, it evolved into a complete director, sound engineer, and editor, all rolled into one.
What all of this shows us is that the basic tools to generate sight, sound, and story are here, and they're improving at a mind-blowing speed. So really, the big question isn't just what can the AI do anymore, it's what will we, the creators, the storytellers, all of us, choose to do with it.